Okay, so we should hopefully be cooking now. So today's session, as sort of I'm sure you're aware, is around building customer avatars. So as I like to do throughout this, there'll be lots of like really practical advice, ideas. I'll talk you through some of like the theory behind it, but then I've tried to be quite practical, which is what I do for my job. So just a bit of a shameless plug at the beginning, just to kind of verify that I am and know what I'm talking about. I'm Katie from Your Marketing Needs, and I'm a fractional marketing director specifically for recruiters. So I help people plan and execute their marketing in the most effective and practical ways to deliver actual results. So I've been specialising in recruitment for over 8 years and in marketing for over 20, experience in everything from kind of on the boots kind of leafleting right through to TV commercial directing. So a real vast experience of marketing as a whole. Okay, so I thought it would be important to cover off some of the theory as we go through this. So the first part being around like why it's important to create and think about those customer avatars when it comes to marketing. And like I said, don't worry, I'm not going to bore you too much with lots of theory, but just to kind of put it into some kind of context for you. So there was lots of studies, as always, around like businesses and looking at like aligning their sales and marketing, but also planning and using avatars to help them deliver a more personalized marketing. Hold on. Okay, so when they looked at that, people that were using these customer avatars or providing more focused marketing specific to their niches, they're achieving about 50% more of their marketing goals. They're about 60% more profitable when they were focusing on building those customer relationships. So really understanding their customers and building from that. Some other stats around this, I do love a stat. So 86% of marketers who use avatars reported an increase in qualified leads. Around 91% of the businesses with the avatars claimed that they'd saved on their marketing budgets by focusing their efforts. Companies that actively used customer personas experienced around a 27% growth in revenue. And 30% rise in email click-throughs when you're talking to that targeted specific customer with specific personalized messages makes all the difference. Sorry, I'm just now have 4 screens open with the presentation on. Okay, so if we, and I like to include this bit, if we look at like the common misconceptions or breakdowns or the barriers that stop people from kind of moving forward with this, some people think that you only ever need to create the avatar once and that it never changes. That isn't true. It's a constantly evolving piece of marketing material, but it isn't just for marketing. They also have this misconception that they're really hard to do and they can take days to craft. Again, a complete misconception. They can be done in minutes or they can be done over a period of weeks. Depends how much detail you want to go in, and then it's the activities that you would need to do to kind of help supplement and complement that will take up the time. Avatars are only good for marketing. Again, a common misconception. These can be used in everything you do. They can help from like a sales perspective, so it would help your consultants understand who it is that they're trying to sell to. If they can understand the customers that they're selling to in a better way, they're more likely to be able to create that relationship with them. And the last one, although it kind of counteracts what I'm saying, it isn't a silver bullet. You know, you're not going to suddenly be the master of all things marketing and sales because you have this customer avatar. Like with everything in marketing, it's all about creating tools that will help you and deliver better materials. Okay, so where can you start to find the information that you need? If I am going too fast at any point, I'm conscious that we've probably got quite a lot to pack into this one, and then do use the chat or the Q&A, or I think you can use like a little react to raise your hand and I can slow down. And if people have questions as well, we'll use that at the end. We have the Q&A section, and you can use the Q&A chat up the top. If you click on that, you can pinboard your questions and we can go in at the end and answer those for you. Okay, so when it comes to finding that information about that customer as to build your avatar, there's lots of places that you can start to look and things to consider. The first thing that you need to consider is the types of data and the segments that you are planning to use. So what is it you're trying to discover about your customers that will allow you to make a more personalized experience for them? So just looking at like some practical examples of things like that, age, industry, interests, pain points, education level, typical career paths. So what I mean by stuff like that is, a typical career path. If you're trying to speak to managers who typically have come and made their way up from an apprenticeship up in say an engineering background or something like that, then you will speak very differently, or the data or the types of media that they consume may be very different to somebody who is, say, master's educated and gone in at that level and works, I don't know, for a bank. So it's just about thinking about who it is that you're going to talk to and what things they would find interesting. So you can start to think about like, how can you segment? But the key there as well is how relevant it is to you. You need to think about like what your clients are looking for and what your clients may be interested in. So you can look at things like psychographics. So these are personality traits, values and motivations. This is something that we're seeing more and more, and I'm sure as recruiters yourself, you're talking with your clients about things like culture matching, aligning values. So if we understand the importance for our clients and what they need to do to attract them people, surely the maths goes on that is also something that you need to now put into your day-to-day. So the more we can understand about our customers, what their values and motivations are, what their interests and hobbies are, and personality traits that they may display, that again will help us when we're crafting personalized materials to send out to them. It's always important when you're thinking about this type of data or collecting or collating information and data is just to consider like the ethical considerations. And so things like consent, obviously, privacy, fairness, open and trust, sensitive data. How are you going to ensure that data is accurate? How are you going to use it and remain ethical when using it? And, things like autonomy, things like responsibility under GDPR, all of those things, when you're collecting that data, you need to make sure you're considering. And that's why I talk about strategy quite a lot in everything that we do, is that you need to have a bigger picture of what it is that you're going to do with that data. If it is just about gathering data to create an avatar and understand your customers a little bit better, then is there a need to store that data with their personal information? Could it be autonomous when you collect the data? Is it just around that you want specific data around them? Then what's the reason you're going to be using that data moving forward? How are you going to use it? How are you going to tag? So lots of things to consider, not just in collecting the data, but how you collect and store that data. And then you can come down to the decision. So this is where you can start to think about like what it is that you want to achieve from this, and then look at your goals and decide on what your segments are going to be. So practical example of how would be like identifying your key segments. So find your distinct groups. So this for a consultancy or for a recruiter could be by desk, for instance, or then you could go deeper. It could go into levels of roles, geography, demographics, and particular details about the people that you're working with. And what you then need to look at is like, what sets them apart? So is it pain points? Is it aspirations? Is it hiring budgets? What are the different things that set those segments apart? And then you can create a list of the different avatars. So it won't be one size fits all. You might end up with 15 different avatars within your business. And then it will be a case of reviewing these periodically as you move forward. It may be a case that you're lucky enough to only have one. Depending on how much detail you want to go into will determine how many avatars that you want to create. I would be very surprised if there was one avatar in any business, because straight away you've got candidates and clients. So that's two. And then when you start to think about like the different sections and areas within your business, the different levels of hiring, the different ways that you hire. So are you productizing? Are you just contingent? Are you retained? What's the difference in those customers? What makes them different? What's the difference between like a retained customer and a contingent customer? What sets them apart? So you start to think about what it is that identifies these people, and you can build your segments from that. Okay, so I'm just trying to put together some practical examples that you could use to segment your data. So you've got things like industry, company size, hiring needs. So again, coming back to that, is it perm? Is it interim? Is it contract? What type of company culture are they? Because you will attract different people depending on the company culture. Some businesses specifically go in on the basis that they're green recruiters. Some businesses go in on the fact that they're specifically only hiring like teams as a product. So what type of culture is within those companies that identifies them? Is it down to location? Is it goals of that client? So, are they striving to be more in tune with ED&I? Are they trying to recruit women in engineering? What's their goal, and how does that differentiate them? Is it a candidate skill set? So are there specific technical skills that set them apart, that's what they're looking for? Are you dealing with people at different career stages? Is that another identifier? And things like work-life balance, is this a company that specifically is focused on delivering a practical work-life balance? Again, it may recruit, or it may attract a different type of candidate. So you can start to segment them into that if that was a speciality for you. And you've got things like project-based needs, hiring budgets. Some people have very, very small budgets, but they're high volume. Other people will have bigger budgets because they're trying to find like a key hire. So you can start to think about how you segment them, or how you identify what sets this type of customer apart. Do they need to be tech savvy? What type of communications do they like? What are their team dynamics? If everybody's working remotely or if everybody's in-house, is it a contract-led model? Is it a hierarchy within that business that would only suit certain people? What's their motivation drivers? What's their screening methods? What's their interview processes? And what's their hiring styles? All of these could be ways that you segment your data to allow you to speak to them people in a specific and very personalized way. Okay, and then you need to think about like how you're going to gather this data. So just some examples of things that you can do. Obviously, there are market reports out there that you can literally purchase. And so you can go on and you can purchase these reports, and they'll give you these kind of insights. So other people that have done industry insight reports. And there'll be lots that you can find online that are free as well. And, I would imagine some of your competitors have done market reports. Look at your non-direct competitors as well. So people that work in the same industry as you, or in a similar industry to you, that are trying to speak to the same type of people. Have they produced a market report that you could utilize and take some learnings from? Run your own industry surveys. So there's so many free tools and paid tools out there that you can run surveys on that will deliver you the kind of data that will be interesting for you to build your avatars, but as well, probably interesting for your customers, etc. as well. So, we all know a typical one for recruiters is a salary survey. So that might be something that you want to consider as we move forward. Social media is a great tool. You can use polls, you can do industry insights. There's lots of ways. You could do a direct message, reach out through LinkedIn, and you could do email reach outs to kind of get that research done. Analytics. So look at the analytics of the marketing that you're doing at the moment. Are there certain people that are opening and responding to a particular type of email, for instance? That could be a segment. So you're flagging those people to say, actually, these people I'm going to add this tag to because they're showing lots of interest in this particular area that I've talked about in emails. Could you start to use your email marketing in a more intelligent way? So add in those seeds. So putting in, say, 3 or 4 different topics, seeing who clicked through on those particular topics, adding tags to those people so that you can start to build up that segment of people who are interested in a particular area to allow you to then email them specifically. And the last one is interviews. So this isn't just necessarily interviewing your customers, which is a great place obviously to start and can be a really good BD tool as well, and to sort of reach out to them to say, we're putting together this market insight, we want to kind of understand our customers better, have you got 5 minutes? But as well, interviewing your consultants. So sitting down with your consultants and asking them these questions. So getting them to think more about, who it is that they're trying to sell to, what really differentiates them, what would be good segments for you to start thinking about in terms of marketing. Okay, and I've said, don't forget to think about data storage. I know I've touched on it briefly, but tags are the key thing here if you're adding anything to your database, because that is going to be how your marketeers are going to be able to segment these people moving forward to allow them to send these personalized messages. So these are really key to anything that you're doing. Okay. The next part, once you've decided what your segments are going to be, you've worked out how you're going to find your data, you've done your research, so you've gone through and you've spoken to these people and you've pulled together. And a really nice way to then kind of make that next step is to create like a visualization. And this sometimes will just help people understand a little bit better who it is that you're trying to speak to or represent. So I've created one to just give you a bit of an example. So this is Kathy, and I'm going to say, right, so Kathy, I'm looking at how I can segment this. So she's degree educated, a director level role. Her pains are finding high grade perm staff in a candidate short market. So I'm going to tag her because she might be open to interim to eliminate gaps in her team. She enjoys, I can't even speak today, what's going on? Enjoys industry stats around hiring trends, salary guides. She likes to keep abreast of opportunities and industry news. And she's motivated by project delivery on time because she uses that for her KPIs. So that's the kind of thing that you can start to think about. Well, actually, there's so much that I could be speaking to Kathy about. I know that she enjoys reading stats. Perhaps there's a good way through a newsletter that I can start to speak to her around that particular kind of topic or hiring trends, and because she's always on the lookout for good talent. So I'd start to think about, right, okay, so for Kathy, there's going to be some real specific information that's going to feel really personalized, and I can start to push out to her rather than her just receiving our monthly newsletter that's kind of a catch-all for everybody. I'm going to start to talk about stuff that's specific to her market, that is set at the right level, that includes kind of those stats and trends that she likes to see. I know that she likes to see them in a quick, easy to read format, so I'm going to make sure it's in that format. So you start to be able to kind of develop content and ideas specifically around Kathy. And I think putting a picture and giving a bit of a persona to that person can help visually with all team members. Okay, and then as you start to move out, so you've built your avatar, you've kind of created this visual, and then obviously the key thing is to refine it and to make sure that it stays up to date. So share that avatar with as many colleagues or potential customers, focus groups, gain feedback from them and refine that process. And then you need to make sure that you're staying updated. So looking at those marketing trends, looking at customer preferences as they evolve, and regularly go back to that avatar and update it. You know, don't forget, the longer that you have that avatar in place, these people may have moved on. There may be a next generation of people in that same kind of role now. So it might be that you need to redevelop that avatar to suit the market. Okay, so this isn't the end slide, but I do always like to put a few words of wisdoms in there. So my key kind of points around this are things like, don't overthink this. You know, I think people put up a barrier because they think that it's overly complicated, and I'm going to come on to a really easy way for you to do this as we go over the next few slides. Build your avatars as a team. So you know, get everybody involved if you can, and always include objections and remember why that's important, or remember what's important. I think it would be really great to build this amazing avatar and understand that Kathy reads the news of the world and she likes to go fishing with her husband on a Sunday, but actually, is that going to help me sell to Kathy, or is that going to align my company values with her company values? Probably not. So you always need to make sure that you're still focused on like the objective of what you're trying to achieve. So, you know, ultimately you're trying to get these people to become your clients or your candidates. And so think about what their objections are. And I know I've covered it before on a lot of the other webinars, but it's about selling to them pain points and showcasing how you solve those for them. And then one thing I would say to you is map your sales funnel and plan how you can use this intelligence. So if your sales funnel starts with kind of education and awareness, then, you know, how can you be using that avatar there? It could be that you're running some LinkedIn ads using your avatar to build that persona in LinkedIn and serving ads to that. It could be that you create a specific section on the website with a giveaway to put people in the top of your sales funnel and that you know fit that Kathy avatar. And at the other end as well, you know, if you know that they're more likely to repurchase every 12 months or 6 months or 3 months, then you can build your sales funnel according to that if you've got them tagged correctly. Which makes my last point, thinking ahead with the tags. So I can't emphasize enough how important kind of tagging data is in to allow you to undertake any of this segmentation or undertake any of this more personalized marketing. So if that isn't something that you've thought about in your business, or if you've just got the usual Vincherry tags that are there, that would be something that I would recommend in 2024 as a goal, would be to rethink your tagging process of all your contacts and candidates, to emphasize or to elaborate further to allow this more personalized segmentation would be one of my tips for a goal for 2024 if I was thinking as a recruitment marketing manager. Okay, now everybody loves a bit of chat, so I thought it would be interesting to put into chat and see what that spouted out. So I wrote a very long and very detailed chat query, and I put it in, and then I'll share the results, and I'll send this in the chat to everybody that's on this as well. Okay, so I said to chat in a very short term, give me a list of questions that you would need to develop this customer avatar for me. I'd also put in lots of stuff like you're a recruiter, you're working in these so these are the kind of things that it came out with. So, you know, target audience demographics, professional goals and challenges, recruitment preferences, communication styles, decision-making processes, online behavior, interests and hobbies, values and ethics, pain points, and then success stories. So it kind of mirrored everything that I'd been talking about before. So just, to reiterate again, these are the types of questions that you could put together in a bit of a questionnaire to ask customers. You could put them into, build a survey around them. You could just ask your consultants around these, and this will help you start to build that customer avatar in a really easy, really simple way using chat. And then if you wanted to be really clever, once you've got that, you could feed all of this back into chat and say, right, now build me my customer persona for this. And it will go away and it will do all lovely things. It can even generate you a picture of the person. Now I just saw a new one, which they can create speaking avatars as well. So you can put it in and you can create like a little animated GIF of that person saying hello, and this is what my voice sounds like. And so it's going to get even crazier as we move forward. But again, it's just a nice opportunity to use chat to create more efficient marketing. Okay, and if I haven't convinced you enough that you need to be doing this, which hopefully I have, hopefully, I'm just sorry. It's saying that someone is waiting to come in. Sorry, Jane Middleton. And if you still need convincing, then Google will block you. Is the short answer to this. So as of February 2024, if you're not aware of this, then you need to have it on your radar. So they are putting in a new, let's say, call it a Google legislation, well, stricter rules around bulk senders. So if you send more than 5,000 emails within a day to Gmail. Now, just to caveat that, Gmail isn't just the traditional Gmail accounts, it's any email hosted on a Google platform. So I think it accounts for something like 60% of all emails. So if you send, and this isn't just from one email address either, this is anybody with your URL in their email. So if you had 50 consultants all sending 5,000 emails a day, we're talking big numbers. You're going to be way over that. I would probably find it hard pushed to find a medium-sized business that is sending sort of less than 5,000 in any one day. Also, that number is going to reduce. So they're starting it high, but it's going to get tighter and it's going to get stricter. If you think of your candidates, if you send a bulk email out to candidates, then you're probably already hit over that mark. What the new rule is if you send out anything through over 5,000 initially, and you get one spam complaint, I think it's like 0.1% spam complaints, then Google will block your URL. They've not said how long they'll block it for, or how long you'll be in Google jail. They've not said how how quickly you'll be able to get out. But within that Google jail, nobody in your organization will be able to send an email to a Gmail account or a Google hosted account. So this is really quite serious. It could have a real adverse effect for recruiters in terms of their email sends. And so there's never been a better time to start thinking more about this segmentation to create that personalized content, which is higher quality, because Google will be looking at how many people open your emails. They're looking for quality, personalization, and segmentation. And they're the first ones to roll that out. It probably won't be long before Microsoft do the same. So we need to start getting prepared for this. We need to make sure that we are, getting all of this stuff prepped now to make sure that we're ahead of the curve when it comes to our email sends. Okay. So that brings me to the end. There is a Q&A pop out at the top. which you can put any questions that you have within there. We normally have about 5-10 minutes for Q&A. I will just do my shameless plug, otherwise I'll be told off in here for not pushing us. But yeah, so we are Your Marketing Needs. We help with marketing planning. We can help with mentoring if you've got a marketing person in-house at the moment, or we offer strategic board level direction from a marketing perspective. And we offer to everybody who takes part in our webinars a free one-to-one, which you can book, and we'll send you all the link after this when we send a copy of the notes and the video for today. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got some Q&As here. Liz Mitchell, you'd said, are other platforms than Google bringing in those bans? So nobody has confirmed that they're bringing in a ban as yet. However, what you tend to find with anything like this is one person will do it and the rest will follow. The whole kind of reason behind it, and this is confusing me now because I've got two screens, and the whole reason behind it is, if you imagine the emails that they serve, their customers are your end users. And I think we've all got away for a long time with being able to kind of en masse send information to them. And eventually people are, you know, I've got one mailbox which I haven't touched in years, and I think it's got like 48,000 emails in it or something. And so now it's kind of like the consumers are pushing back to say, actually, we would like a bit more protection. So they're putting these kind of things into place. The knock-on effect as well from this is going to be greater. So if you think of systems like MailChimp, MailerLite, Force24, any of those platforms, they're going to have to be stricter with their kind of use of email marketing and list deliverability. So again, even though it's only one that's implementing it now, it will continue to have a knock-on effect. So you really do need to be mindful of that. I'm going to go to the chat. Oh, the lovely side profile there. Any other questions? How realistic is it to do that if you are the only marketeer for a 50+ company? That is the impossible task, Iran. I'm sorry. I think in terms of building the segments, you would have to look at like what you were trying to achieve from it. So it might be that you start with, if there's one particular area of focus for business development, that you'd start with that. So you'd build the avatars around that so that you can make sure that you're kind of building to that first, and then just prioritizing. I think, unfortunately, when it comes to segmentations, tags, and email campaigns, it's going to become a necessity. So whilst it's been okay to kind of, or not okay, but whilst we've got away with mass messaging people up till now, I definitely think that the platforms are going to make it even harder for us to do that. It's the same as like when GDPR came in. There is always going to be you know, new legislations coming up. When GDPR happened, everybody had a mass panic, and then it was all about kind of getting your head around it and understanding how to utilize it. And there will be some pains, but they will make it for better marketing, because of it will be delivering more personalized service and more personalized content. So your open rates, your deliverability rates should all go up. And the more personalized and more targeted content is, the better kind of return on investment that you'll get from your marketing. And Liz has put effectively, thanks so much. Effectively, there'll be no difference going through a platform like SendGrid. It will affect all of the platforms in terms of like send. The main difference will be is your spam allowance is now going to be like dramatically reduced. So it doesn't matter who you're sending it through. If you hit that spam limit, then Google will block your URL from all Gmail during that period while you're in Google jail. There was a really interesting talk, and perhaps we could get him to do one of the webinars with us. But the guy, Adam Oldfield from Force 24, gave a really detailed and interesting talk about the new Google legislation, or Google law, I keep calling it, that's coming in. And he was explaining it in a lot more detail than I am. So if people are interested, I can even set up like a one-to-one call where I'll query him and kind of get all of the details, and then I can just share the link with everybody for that. Yeah. Any other questions while we're here? Okay. All right. Well, if there are any questions, I'll leave this open for a few minutes. If people want to put them in the chat, if they've not had the opportunity, I will send a message out to everybody with a link to the presentation, and then the video will follow too. And in there, there'll be a link to book a one-to-one with me if people want. I'm happy to chat through marketing. It's my favorite subject. So even if it's picking my brains, then feel free to book a call with me. And the next webinar that we'll be doing is on funnels, quick win funnels and automations. So I think that's going to be a really good one. So I'll be talking about things that I think you could implement sort of straight away or really quickly to just help boost your customer engagement, using really simple tools like MailChimp or Force 24 if you've got it, but not everybody does. And then, oh, hold on. Oh. Yeah, so that'll be the next one. It will be on a Thursday next time instead of a Tuesday, as I am on holiday, which is nice. So yeah, so it'll be on Thursday instead of Tuesday, but we'll send all of the details through, and I look forward to seeing you all then. All right, thanks, guys.